Hi, folks, here at the World of Wellness. Hello, everybody. The place is rocking today, Saturday, July 20th. We have all kinds of great things happening here. Come on down. Just a little few minutes away from downtown Pittsburgh. We have free samples, free literature, free smoothies, tremendous discounts on prices, and we have a lot of great educational talks. Hello, folks. My name is Mike Gallagher. I'm a certified lifestyle educator. I've been in the industry, nutrition industry, for over 30 years. And I've been to every one of these World of Wellness now, right? And there's over 100. And so, again, these are all meant for education. Knowledge is power. We want you to make informed decisions. And so today, I've been asked to talk about some basic foundational things, right? That anybody can take on the family side of it. Okay. And then if we have time, we'll get into some fitness as well. All right. So when we talk about basic foundational things, what are we talking about? Multivitamins, omega fish oil, and probiotics. Okay. If you are 100% healthy, right? No problems whatsoever, I would still recommend these three things. This is known as the Holy Trinity, right? Of supplementation. Why? Because the way food is made, you are not getting enough proper nutrients to maintain health. The other thing I always look at is, all right, say you have a health issue, all right, and such as pain, and you work with one of the doctors here, Dr. Phil and Dr. Orbach, and now you're better. Now what? Right? We want to transition, right? The old saying is prevention is the best medicine. Okay. So many people, we fix them and then now what? Right? This is the now what. So let's start with multivitamins today, folks. And we know there's lots of options out there in the world of vitamins. But the most popular vitamin of them all is Centrum. Okay. And not that it's the best, but the fact that they spend the most money advertising. So again, you always have to be gun shy. The things that are advertised the most on TV are the things that you should avoid the most because they have to pay for that advertising and they have to cut costs. The other question I always ask is who actually owns these supplements? Okay, that's a great question to ask these days. Why? Because a lot of the supplement companies are being bought out by major conglomerates like Nestle's, such as they've done with recently with Douglas Labs and Pure, right? Or venture capitalist groups like they've been bought out recently with Designs for Health and also Metagenics, right? So they look at things a lot differently, folks. Or you have the drug companies who also own quite a bit of the supplement companies now, right? And yes, drug companies are heavily involved in vitamin companies. Okay, so why? Because it's all about the money, right? Always funny the money trail. All right. Now, unfortunately, what happens a lot when these companies are bought out, the quality of the ingredients starts slipping or they have trouble making them, right? Because they work on a completely different level. So, does anybody know who owns Centrum? Right? Wyeth Pharmaceuticals owns Centrum, drug company. Okay. And so, folks, this is a very famous picture. So, Phil can put that one up. So, this is an x ray of Centrum Silver. And you can see clearly there in the circles, three different areas in the GI tract and the rectum. It's still visible. The tablet is still visible on the x ray. It's never broken down. Okay. And so, besides what is the ingredients, are you actually absorbing it? That's the most important also question you want to ask yourself. All right. Because you can buy the greatest supplement in the world. Are you absorbing it? With Centrum, it's a double whammy. It's the cheapest of the cheap ingredients, and you're not absorbing it. Okay. In fact, not to be real visual here, but there are some accounts of mine that have patients or clients as plumbers, and they've told me over the years that from time to time they would get a call that the toilet is clogged up, and they would go to unclog it, and the thing that's clogging it is Centrum. They can still see the Centrum symbol in the pipes, clogging it. Think about that for a minute, right? So, not to freak anybody out, but just trying to get people to realize and understand what is really going on. So, on our website, under the education tab, we have what's called consumer health alerts. And these are designed to make you aware what's really happening. So I pulled up one already, and this is really what you should look for in a quality multivitamin. All right. So you want to look at the forms. We'll talk about that in a second. The dose and what else are they using. Okay. So this is a really big deal and things that you should always ask about. Now, when you look at the different ingredients, the most expensive ingredient in a multi is your B vitamins, B6 and B12. Okay, so if a company is cutting corners here, guaranteed they're cutting corners elsewhere. It's a serious red flag. So when you look at our B12, we are using the active form, methylcobalamin. What a lot of companies use, especially on the retail market, is cyanocobalamin. So cyanocobalamin actually is derived from cyanide, poison. Just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of poison is where cyanocobalamin comes from, B12. Okay. So that is a really big no-no, right? So you always want to look for this on the B12, methylcobalamin. The second thing that we look at is B6. So this is the active form of B6. We shorten it for P5P, but how you pronounce this, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. A lot of companies use pyridoxine hydrochloride, or otherwise they'll say HCl on the bottle. The problem with this is that if you have what's called a genetic SNP, MTHFR, which 1 out of 2 people have in the United States, it's estimated, you cannot break down the HCl form. In fact, it's hazardous to you. In fact, it acts as a buffer, like a blockade, and prevents your other B vitamins from getting inside the cell. Now, why would companies choose these 2 forms if these are the, because it's the cheapest? Okay. So just looking at the B12 and B6 can tell you a tremendous amount about the integrity of the company and the quality of the company. Okay. And by the way, what I just told you right there, 99% of the population does not know. Right. Then we look at the form of vitamin E. So a lot of companies use DL form, right? You want to use the natural form, D alpha, right? So I always have a little saying here, DL stands for the loser, because if you are buying the DL form of vitamin E, you are losing. Okay. So what is in Centrum? Guess what? The DL, right? And then even the selenium-methionine, okay? Better form of selenium. That's what you want there, right? So very, very important there as well. Now, when you do a comparison, just looking at ours, and we'll go into more deeper detail here in a minute, ours is more than a multi, folks. You have your minerals, you have your whole foods, superfoods, as a matter of fact, okay, in there. You have your bioflavonoids, antioxidants, enzymes, right? So it's more than just a multi. It's really like 4 or 5 supplements in one. And if you're doing a multi, you can back down on quite a few of your other supplements, by the way. So we're trying to simplify your protocol, not increase it. But looking at it from a strength standpoint, just look how much stronger we are than Centrum, right? 6 times as much vitamin C in B2, right? 3 times as much vitamin E and it's a better form. Twice as much niacin, magnesium, better form. 4 times as much biotin. 12 times as much B5, B6 in a better form. But look at the B12, folks. 33 times more, stronger. Okay. Why? So we should be charging 33 times more than Centrum. We don't. We should. We don't. Okay. So when people say, Centrum is garbage, we're really not joking. You're wasting your money, but it's still the number one seller out there. So this again is why we do these talks. And then look at all these other things that they put in here, all these additives and preservatives, right? Cornstarch, talc, hydrogenated oil, food colorings. These colorings are related to neurotoxicity issues. All right. But my personal favorite, polyethylene glycol. That's also called antifreeze, folks. That's what Centrum puts on the coating of their tablet. Okay. Very interesting. All right. Now, so what do we have? Let's take a look at it. Let's dive deeper in here. So let's take a look at our Women's Complete Multi. So first of all, this was actually developed by an OBGYN, a holistic OBGYN. Her name is Dr. Mary Belverdialis from Georgia. We call her Dr. V for short. I don't know any other women's multi on the market that was actually developed by an OBGYN. And we didn't just put this together overnight, folks. This actually took 2 years to develop from start to finish. Dr. V is very particular of what she wants, the forms, the ingredients, the strength. But when you look at this, as I mentioned, it's more than a multi. You have your minerals and probiotics. So again, basic foundational things. I mentioned vitamins, probiotics, right? It's all in one. If you're taking this formula, you don't need additional probiotics. So that's really huge, folks. People don't look at it this way, but that's what you should be looking at it from. All right. So let's break this down. Let's look at the supplemental facts. So let's look at that B6. I just mentioned to you, what should it be? Paradoxal 5-phosphate. That's the active form of B6. Anytime you see HCl here, that's the cheap stuff. Okay. Then we get into the B12, right? That's the methylcobalamin. Anytime you see CYNA, cyanocobalamin, that's the cheap stuff. And then you look at this one. We didn't even discuss this yet, but folate as quadrifolic. So, folks, this is the 4th generation folate. Okay. And again, this is another really big deal. So if a vitamin has folic acid, FOLIC, if you have that genetic SNP, it's actually hazardous to your health. It's hazardous to your brain, your heart, and your liver. Okay. And a lot of people who choose to buy Centrum and other retail brands, right? They usually get headaches, migraines, GI upset. We hear this all the time. But folks, everybody can absorb this one. Now, before there was quadrifolic, the 4th generation, there was the 3rd generation. So that one is called this long sounding name, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolic. Okay. Is that good? Yes, it is good. Everybody can absorb it. However, head-to-head studies, quadrifolic versus the 5-methyl, the quadrifolic is 20% more bioavailable and longer lasting in your cells. Also, this is the only form that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Okay. So that's why we use this one. It's the newest of the new in the world of folate. Okay. So if a company is using 5-methyl, it's not the best. Okay. So just looking at those 3 things, you will tell a lot about a company. Now, one last thing. If a company comes out with just 5-methyl, Does anybody know where that comes from? Who makes 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate? Now, Merck, a drug company. Okay. So I told you a minute ago, drug companies are heavily involved. They're heavily involved in the raw material ingredients. So when this first came out, a quadrifolic, Merck sued them. Okay. So they said it was an infringement on their patent on this. And so Quadrifolic won. They beat them. Cost them a couple $1 million in court, but they won. So who makes our quadrifolic? Gnosis. Gnosis. Okay. So it's an Italian German company. Okay. Is who makes it. They're not a drug company. By the way, they also make a couple of our other ingredients by the MK7 or K2 and also our SBC as well. But they're not a drug company, folks. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, where you have all the minerals and all the absorbable forms, okay? So we're using the best of the best out there in the world of minerals. And folks, no one makes their own minerals in the supplement world. They all have to outsource it. And so Albion is the oldest mineral manufacturer in the world. They have the most published research. They have a very unique patent ionic bonding process that converts a mineral from a rock to a protein. Okay. And this is why you're absorbing them. Okay. So this is also what you should be looking for as well. Okay. But the other unique thing about this is it also has this probiotic called lactospore. And so if you're not familiar with spore probiotics, but it simply means grown from the ground. Okay. And there's a growing trend in the industry to use spore probiotics, but this has the most research of any spore probiotic, lactospore. And so why do we use that? Because it not only will it help with GI issues, but of course it also helps with feminine hygiene issues as well and prevents urinary tract infections. It also is fantastic if you have if you're pregnant. There's great research on lactospore preventing neural tube defects. So this is more than a multi, folks. This is also our prenatal. When we first came out with this, we were going to call this a prenatal, but we thought, every female should take this. Okay. So that's why we don't say prenatal specific on the bottle on the front. But again, we do say it mentioned several times here that it is the ingredients are great as a prenatal. So the other thing you want to look at, folks, and this is another way you can tell how quality of a company is, look at these symbols. These symbols are all the patent and trademarked ingredients. They have more research, more efficacy behind them. So let's count them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ingredients, all patent and trademarked ingredients. So you can see better form of iron, better form of K2. Viticholine is great for the brain and the liver. And then there's that lactospore. We also have additional probiotics in there as well. Rhamnosus, which is also great for feminine issues. And we have the DMG, which is very unique. In fact, it's the only multivitamin I've ever seen on the market that has DMG. And folks, if you've heard me through the years, my favorite ingredient of all time, it will make all these ingredients more efficient, more bioavailable for you as well. And then we didn't stop there. We have superfoods, whole foods, fruit and veggies. Okay, they're in here, right? Look at what we have put in there: cranberry, broccoli, garlic, spirulina, chlorella. Again, spirulina, chlorella also excellent for heavy metals as well. So, folks, I know, again, a lot of options, a lot of multis out there, but I've never seen one that has everything this has in it. So let's talk about the dosage. Now, on the bottle, if you are taking 4-day, this is the strength that you're getting, okay? But I always look at a multi as basically filling in the gaps from your regular food, regular diet. If you are eating healthy, our version of healthy, okay, you could get away with 2 a day. So 120 capsules. It only comes in one size. Now it turns into a 2-month supply. Okay. But if you are, let's say you're slipping on your diet that day, or you are pregnant or nursing, then we would recommend 4 a day. Okay. But most people who take 2 a day really feel notice the difference in just a week. Okay. In just a few days. What we don't want you to do is take a 1 a day, because we folks, it's really physically impossible to get all your vitamins, minerals, superfoods, all your key nutrients and trace minerals in one pill. I know it's heavily marketed. I know you want to do less is more, not when it comes to multis. Okay. So always remember, two is twice as nice. Okay. But you can always go up to 4. So that gives you flexibility in your dosing. Okay. But even at 2 a day, this turns into a 2 month supply. I've actually had some practitioners that I work with tell me it's the same price as Centrum. So somebody can't say to you, oh, Centrum is cheaper. Nope. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. So we went really aggressive on the price. We went really aggressive on the formula and the ingredients. And again, just compare, look at what you're taking. And at the end of the day, all we can do is ask you to try it. Try one bottle and see if you don't feel and notice the difference. Okay. So that's on the women's side. Now, we didn't forget about the men's. So the men's still has the vitamins, the minerals, the superfoods. All that's the same, right? So again, look at that B6. What is it? Paradoxal 5-phosphate, what we want. Now we're using a biofolate, which is, again, is a better form with this one, and we're using the methylcobalamin. So we check all the boxes there. But instead of probiotics, what do we add in here for men? Okay. So we added prostate support benefits in here. Sulfamino, lycopene. In fact, a trademarked patent form of lycopene. Okay. In there. So that's also important for men. We know that's a big deal. We also added arginine, citrulline, and beetroot. So this helps with nitric oxide. So this helps with blood pressure. So we added some nutrients in there for the heart. It can also even help with erectile dysfunction issues as well. So we have the nutrients in there. We also have using a very clinical strength of CoQ10 as well. In fact, if you take 4 a day, you're getting 100 milligrams of CoQ10, which is unheard of in a multi as well. And then, folks, last but not least, we have this ingredient, Lutamax. So Lutamax is not just for your eyes, although there's great research on that. In fact, it goes back to 2018, and there was a PubMed study on this to help with preventing blue light damage, and it actually won a very prestigious award, Ingredient of the Year award in 2018. But since then, they've also added some additional studies for the brain, the heart, and the skin. Okay, so again, folks, that's all in this. Very, very unique. So just like with the guys, if your diet's good, you could get away with 2 a day. Turns into a 2 month supply. But if your diet isn't good, or you have prostate issues, right, or you have heart issues, then we would recommend 4 a day. From a multivitamin, we're also helping those conditions. Now, again, if you have prostate, we would bundle that with our PSA formula, our prostate support formula. If you have heart issues, we have other things to help, CardioStack, CircuCorp, right? So this is why you want to work with us. This is why we can help you steer you in the right direction. So like I said, all we can do is ask, give it a chance. Okay? So that is a little deeper dive in the world of multivitamins. Okay? Basic foundation. Now, let's take a look at fish oil. And folks, just like I with the multivitamins, 99.9% of supplement companies do not make their own fish oil. Again, they all have to outsource it. Where does most of the fish used in fish oil come from in the supplement world? China. China. Most polluted world waters in the world. Okay. So the first question we would always ask you, if you're using another fish oil, where does the fish come from? Now, where does our fish come from? Our fish comes from Chile. chili, wild fish, and we can track it from start to finish. So we know that for certainty. Okay. But why do fish oil supplement companies, why do they buy from China? Because they buy from third party brokers and they're all about the price. Okay. And China is going to give them the cheapest price possible. So again, keep that in mind. The other thing that's unique is that we're using this triglyceride form. That is the more natural form found in fish. It also has the majority of the research as well. Okay, that's what you also want to look for. With the soft gels, we added some vitamin D in here as well. So that's why we call it omega 3D. But the other thing is, where does it go from Chile, right? Where then? So then it goes to a drug license pharmaceutical manufacturing facility. They just choose not to make pharmaceuticals. Instead, they make nutraceuticals. Okay. And we go through but it's the highest standard you can have in the industry as far as manufacturing goes. Okay. It goes through a 6-step distillation process. Okay. 6 steps. It removes all the mercury, all the PCBs, all the dioxins, all the bad stuff. Most fish oil companies go through 1 or 2 steps. Why? Because it costs money. Every single step costs money. But we don't stop it from there. We then go independently tested, third-party testing that we also go through to guarantee it doesn't have any mercury, PCB, or dioxins. And again, most companies do not do this. Why? It costs money to do all this testing, but we want to guarantee it doesn't. So that's the other question that you should ask any of your suppliers. Do they go through 6 steps distillation process? And is it independently third party tested? Okay. Very, very, very important on fish oil. Now, let's break it down, what you're getting here. And folks, we've listed a few things, the benefits of fish oil: brain, heart, hair and skin. But I would say there's over hundreds and hundreds of benefits. So I would say pain, brain, heart, eyes, skin, hair, hormone, immune, and over 500 other things. Okay. You cannot get enough in your food, unfortunately. So we'll talk about strength and dosage and things like this. But if you looked at research on omegas, there's over 4,000 published medical studies on the benefits of fish oil. My favorite study of all time goes back to 1995, where JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, said that if you take 1,000 milligrams of EPA DHA for 3 months, because it takes 3 months to get it inside your cell, you can reduce your risk of heart attack by 90%, 90, just by taking fish oil. Okay. So if you have any family history of heart issues, this is really important. Okay. Now let's break this down. So the 2 main components of omegas are EPA and DHA. All right. That's what you want to look for. All right. So there's the TG, stands for triglyceride. That's the other thing that you want to look for. So per 2 soft gels, you're getting 960 of the EPA, 640 of the DHA. Now, why do we use this ratio? Because this is what's found in nature. This is the exact ratio if you were to eat fish. So we know some companies, they go higher amounts of EPA, and some companies go higher amounts of DHA. Okay. We don't want to mess with Mother Nature. There's a reason why you're getting this ratio in fish, and that's what we use. Okay. So if you're ever wondering about that. So we guarantee what's in here until the end of the expiration date. So if you add these 2 numbers up, it's about roughly like 1,800 per 2 soft gels. All right, excuse me, 1,600 per 2 soft gels. So it's about 800, a little over 800 per soft gel. Okay. So this is one of the highest concentrates that you can have. If we look at, again, retail market fish oil, or things that we would buy at Walmart or on Amazon, Typically, when you add these two numbers up, it's roughly between 250 and 300, right? Ours is over 800. Okay. So besides the fact that you don't know where it comes from and they haven't done initial testing on it, just looking at the strength, this is going to be far superior. Is it going to be more expensive than what you get out there? Yes, because it's 2/3 stronger. But the point is, you don't need to take as much. So on days you are eating fish, you could get away with one a day. Okay. Days you're not, you would go bump it up maybe to two a day. But just as a basic maintenance. But if you are only getting 250 to 300, you have to take 4 a day to equal one a day, right? So is it a better value? Now, if we look at it just from a food standpoint, the highest concentrate of omegas of EPA DHA, looking at per serving, would be wild salmon. And roughly you're getting between 400 and 500 milligrams of EPA DHA per serving. And folks, I don't know anybody on the planet that eats 2 servings of wild salmon every single day for 3 months straight. So this is why you need to supplement. This is the why, because you are not getting enough in your regular food, unfortunately. Now, the other part I should have mentioned, the end product, by the time we go through all these 6-step distillation steps, there's technically no fish antibodies in the fish oil. Okay. All we're using it is for the EPA DHA. So when I'm talking to a vegetarian, okay, they get very little EPA DHA from flax. There's very little conversion on flax and most plants. And folks, we need EPA DHA for our brain. It's the most abundant source, good fats. And if you're not getting the good fats from your food and you refuse to take fish because you're a vegetarian, you can take our omega-3D. There's no fish in the fish oil. It's just a means to an end. So recently I was talking to another account. She is a strict vegetarian and she is pregnant. So I told her, listen, if you're not going to do it for you, do it for the baby, because it will dramatically help with your baby as well. Tremendous studies that pregnant women taking omegas when the babies were born, they did IQ testing 1 year, 2 years, 6 years, had higher scores, right? And I told her this, and I told her, again, there's no fish in the fish oil. So she reluctantly did. She started taking it. About a week into it, she reaches out to me, said, Mike, I really feel a huge difference. Okay. And even Dr. Weiner, the strict vegetarian that he is, he still took fish oil, folks. He still took this, right? So keep that in mind, right? I just want people to realize it's critically important. You can avoid all the fish you want, but you want to supplement still with this, especially this one, because I can't speak for any other company, but I know all the testing involved here, folks. Now, let's say you have more serious health issues. Let's say you're in a lot of pain. Let's say you have heart problems, right? Any of those issues, eyes, immune issues, right? Pain, brain, heart, eye, skin, hair, hormone. Okay. So the research shows now we need to increase your omegas to get the health benefits. We need to be at 2,000 milligrams of EPA DHA combined. Okay. So 2,000, that would be 3 of our soft gels. 3. And I usually go closer to 4 a day because now we're closer to 3,000 milligrams, and you usually get faster, quicker results at 4 a day, right? But minimum 3 a day. Now, again, if you choose a cheaper form, okay, that's only 250 to 300 milligrams, right? You need to take 7 of them. 7 versus 3. Is it such a good deal after all? No, it's not. So the people who are taking or, looking for the cheapest vitamins and fish oil, they're not going to get the best benefits, folks. That's what you have to do. You have to walk people through the math, just like we did, to realize what you're getting. More bang for your buck. You need to take less of them, but high quality. Okay. So that's how we look at this. Now, we do have a liquid option for those who can't swallow pills, or kids, babies, infants, toddlers, right? Absolutely, they can take it. But look at the concentrate on this, right? It's over 2,000 milligrams per teaspoon. So if you have any of those major issues, instead of taking 3 or 4 soft gels, you can just do 1 teaspoon. If you don't have any issues, half a teaspoon. If you are giving this to your child, they could do half of a teaspoon, right? Even half of a half. So that's really a quarter or an eighth of a teaspoon they could get away with. So everybody always asks, well, how does the liquid fish oil taste? And folks, I have to say it's come a long way, right? This is not your parents' cod liver oil, okay? It's kind of long. It's lemon flavored. To me, it tastes like lemon olive oil. It's really clean. It's really clean tasting, right? All he asks is you just refrigerate it before you use it. Okay. You can even put it in protein smoothies. You can put it in any of our colors, like our greens or reds. You can put it in, you can also add it to salad as a salad dressing. So we could do a lot of different creative ways with the liquid. But I know people have this image. But this is why, if you want to come down, we can make some up for you to try it. Right. But it's actually not bad at all. It's really super clean. Okay. So that is on the world of omegas. Now, let's move on to probiotics. Okay, so this would be our everyday probiotic. No major GI issues. Okay, this would be it, right? Foundational probiotic. Why do we recommend it? Because the battle, good versus bad bacteria, is always going on 365 days a year. And again, no matter how clean we try to eat, there's always going to be something in their environment, our food, our water, right? Medications, so forth and so on. Okay. So again, foundational support. Okay. And just like I mentioned with fish oil, right? 99.9% of supplement companies out there do not make their own probiotics. Okay. They have to outsource them. And the questions, here's 4 questions that you should always ask anybody that if you're buying from someplace else probiotics. The first question is, does it pass the acid bile test? What does that mean? Okay, so most probiotics, when it goes through the stomach, the acid in the stomach breaks down the probiotic and it doesn't go to where it should. Ours does, folks. Ours does pass the acid bile test. We have studies and tests to prove this. That's number 1. By the way, most doctors do not think that is possible until I show them, and they're shocked. Okay. Secondly, do you have the research? Right. So we have in vitro studies in the laboratory. We have animal studies, but most important, we have human clinical studies on these strains, folks. Okay. That tests what it should be doing. Does it? So when you look at a probiotic, let's take a look here. So you'll see the genus Lactobacillus. You'll see the species Acidophilus, but then you'll see this strain number. So you see that LA14, and then every one will have a different strain number. These are the strains that are linked to the studies. If a supplement company doesn't have those strain numbers, put it down. That's generic, super cheap. There's no studies on that probiotic. Okay. So a probiotic is not really a probiotic unless it has these strains. Okay. So again, this is a really big deal. And how many studies do we have? We have 60 pages of studies on these strains. Okay. So here's the last big question. How much do you need a day? So our supplier, by the way, is this one. Okay. Danisco. Danisco is the worldwide global leader in probiotic manufacturing and research. They are the experts. Okay. And by the way, there's thousands of strains you can choose from. Why do we choose these? Because this covers the entire GI tract from start to finish. And we see some supplement companies out there, their everyday probiotic, we say is 20 billion with a couple strains. And then we see some out there that are over, 100 million, right? You see all different types of strains, all different types of numbers out there, folks, right? But we asked the NISCO, they are the experts. And this is what they told us. As long as you do not have any GI problems, okay? And as long as you are using multiple strains that covers the entire GI tract, then the minimum that you need per day is 6 billion per day. And that's what you get with one capsule of our Frontier Biotics. So this is a one a day. Okay. This is a one a day. So a 90 size is a 3-month supply. A 180 is a 6-month supply. You can share it with your spouse, right? And we did go very aggressive on the pricing on this as well. So if you've never tried this, again, all we can do is try it. I've been using this one now for years. I use the Omega 3D for years, right? Every day. I would never recommend something that I'm not using personally myself. Okay. So there's a little behind the scenes in the world of Maltese, fish oil, and probiotics. Now, on our website, under the catalog section, we have these solution guides, and we have 12 major ones. So I pulled up the one for kids and family. So again, we give you options, right? A lot of good stuff there. There's the multi, right? So basic stuff. There's the liquid fish oil, but basic food guideline right there as well. These are very helpful. Okay, what to eat every day, avoid these foods, right? So basic tips, suggestions. Okay. Now, with the time remaining, we're going to talk about fitness. Okay. So we have a few minutes here. And so I pulled one up for fitness. Now, again, we want you, to work out, try to do something every day. Your bodies are meant to move. We talked about this yesterday, me and Joe. For weight loss, obviously, is very important, but just overall, right? When we sit for hours and hours, our metabolism slows down, right? And so our bodies are meant. So sitting is the new smoking, but try to do at least something 30 minutes a day, something that you enjoy, right? Now, of course, in the summertime, outside, walking, running, biking, swimming, okay? Much easier to do in the swim, out there. But you want to also do some type of physical activity, right? Anaerobic activity where you are stretching your muscles, right? It can be push-ups and sit-ups. It can be basic stuff like that. You don't have to always go to a gym, but you should be doing something, okay? So we always want to emphasize that as well. But if you do use supplements, okay, we have some options. And depending on what level of fitness you are, okay, so what do I call beginner? Within the first 3 months. Okay, so if you're just getting back into it, first 3 months, these are the formulas that I would recommend as far as beginner. Okay, so we'll talk about these more in a moment, but Pro Oranges is a fruit and vegetable drink, but it's also a great pre-workout. Okay, so you're getting the best of worlds. You can do any protein, but protein helps you recover faster. Okay, that's really how you grow. That's really how you grow stronger. So first 3 months, that's what we would suggest. If you're intermediate, anywhere typically from 6 to 12 months, okay, and you want to add additional key here, it would be the Power Fuel. So the Power Fuel, you can use a couple ways. You can use it as a pre-workout. You can combine it with the Pro Oranges, or you can use it post-workout. So you might want to experiment with that to see which one you prefer. But this will also help you recover. and you could actually put it right in a super shake or the best way as well. Okay, and we'll talk about that. But if you're advanced, and what do we mean by at least a year of solid working out? Okay, at least 3 days a week. That's where we would consider advanced. Okay, and this is where we would add super creatine to the mix, right? And this is unlike any other creatine, folks. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay. But what we see a lot, and I get calls from doctors all the time, is that they have children, teenagers, okay, who want to skip all these other things. They go right to super creatine. Okay. And they say, well, can my high school kid take creatine? My first question is, how much have they been working out? Do they have a solid foundation? Because if they want to skip steps and go right to creatine and they do not have that basic foundation, yeah, will they see results with our super creatine? Yeah, but as soon as they stop, everything's going to fall apart. They're going to go right back down to zero. Okay. But if they built a foundation, okay, and then hit a plateau, a strength plateau, that's when we would recommend the super creatine, folks. That's when super creatine now takes that strength to a whole nother level. And if you stop it, then you will maintain your strength. But if we skipped all the steps and go right to super creatine, you're going to go right back down to zero. It's kind of like building the house on quicksand. Okay. So I want people to think about it on that level, right? We know there's a lot of peer pressure out there for high school kids, right? Playing sports, wanting to gain strength and size. I get it, but do it the right way. Do it the right way, and you'll have much better quality, right? So that's how we look at this. Now, let's break these down. Oh, by the way, on the back end, frontier branch chain aminos, BCAAs. Why do we recommend that? Well, this is for even greater aminos that help with muscle tissue repair. Okay, so if you add that to the shake, you're going to get a powerful 1-2 combination to recover as quickly as possible, right? But you can also use this not just for activity, but just everyday life too. So if you are tired, okay, or you have any type of blood sugar issues, the Pro Oranges is great for that too. It'll help balance out blood sugar. If you're pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, it'll help with that too, okay, from a fruit and veggie standpoint. If you, again, need more energy, the Power Fuel can be excellent, as well as the Pro Oranges. And if you combine those two together, that's an amazing 1-2 combination together. Okay. With the super creatine, it's not just for athletes. There's tremendous amount of research on this for the elderly. Okay, folks, people with canes, with walkers, having trouble getting in and out of chairs. Okay. Tremendous research on creatine. In fact, one of my other accounts gave this to her mother, who's 93, and within just a couple days, she started seeing great results. Okay, and anybody who does any type of labor's job, right, where you're constantly using your muscles, so construction, right, or even chiropractors who are doing manipulation every day, or massage therapists, right? They it takes its toll on your body. So I have many accounts who use this themselves personally. They just drink this right before they leave home, or leave work to go home. They take this within a couple of days. They're not as sore, right? So it's not necessarily for athletes. You can use some of these in just everyday life as well. And again, on the back, right, wrote it down there for you. So let's break these down with the time remaining. Pro Oranges, I mentioned fruit and veggies. How much are you getting? 5 servings of different fruit and vegetables, all that are good all the time per scoop. Okay. So you see all the different ingredients in this. It is loaded. But let's see here. I would say from a pre-workout standpoint, these ingredients right here, taurine, inositol, green coffee bean extract. So green coffee bean converts to caffeic acid. So this does a trace amount of caffeine. In fact, you would have to drink 10 cups of decaf coffee to get a scoop of what you're doing here, right? So it's very, very tiny at trace amounts of caffeine, caffeic acid. It's actually cellular energy as well. Okay. So very, very unique. We also had this patented trademarked form of ashwagandha. Okay. So that is a little write up on this, but that is for stress. Okay. It also helps with libido and many other benefits. But just with this one ingredient, people actually improved upper body strength and also help lose weight after 12 weeks. Again, great for your adrenals, right? So people who work out every day, over time, that will catch up to them too. So some people go overboard on this. There's always balance, but this can help with that. So from a fruit and veggie standpoint, that's how you want to look at this. It's under $2 a serving. It's tremendous value as well. Okay. I mentioned the protein. You can do the super shake. You can do the ultimate shake. You can do the Nido Keto shake. You can do any protein, right? I put the whey protein because of all of them. Whey is the most bioavailable for as recovery goes. It is from dairy, but it's super clean, grass-fed cows, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and 100% lactose free. Okay. So that's a big deal, folks, too. Know your source, right? When you look at this audit, okay, again, the whey, rich in branch chain as well. We talked about that a second ago, but we also added this form of fiber. This is a patented trademark form of fiber that helps support regularity as well. 3 grams. It's very unique. It doesn't raise your blood sugar as well. So for a beginner, that's where we would start. Got to be consistent with the workouts. Just doing those 2 things, pre and post. You're intermediate. This is where we add that power fuel, folks. Mitochondria energy. Okay. So what's in this that makes it unique is these ingredients right here, right? CoQ10, L-carnitine, malic acid, DMG, D-ribose. These are all critical ingredients of Krebs cycle function. So that's where your energy is made in your mitochondria. And if you are tired, typically you're deficient in one of these nutrients. So we're just filling in the gaps. Okay. We also now have enzymes. Again, this is why people use this on the back end. It helps with reducing pain and muscle tissue, soreness. This helps with circulation as well. Okay. This is also electrolytes. Okay. So people say, well, what do you have that's like Gatorade? Our power fuel is it's like Gatorade on steroids, right? So again, no artificial colors, flavors, no sugar, right? Gatorade is lowered with that, or they have the sugar-free option, even worse, right? So we added all these ingredients, plus you have the arginine, nitric oxide benefit as well. Okay, so it's very, very unique circulation benefit in just one formula. A couple other ways you can use this besides energy and pre-workout or post would be for the heart. Okay. There's a very famous holistic cardiologist, Dr. Steven Sinatra. He's written over 10 best-selling books. He mentions every one of these ingredients that's in Power Fuel. Okay. So if someone had major heart trauma, if they had a heart attack, if they a stent, anything like bypass, and they come out of the hospital, that first month they are fatigued. They are wiped out. It's difficult even to walking up a flight of steps. So if they do 2 scoops of Power Fuel, 1 scoop in the morning, 1 scoop at noon, okay, with ice cold water, it will dramatically help strengthen the heart muscle and give them that energy all at the same time. Okay. This is fantastic for fibromyalgia. Most of the time, true fibro, folks, is a mitochondrial nutrient deficiency. So we've had some incredible results. We're even right here. I'll never forget it. There was a woman here many years ago. She came in on a Tuesday afternoon, and I said, "What's going on?" She said she had extreme fibromyalgia. I said, "How much pain are you in?" She, out of 1 to 10, 8, 10 being the worst. She said 8. I said, "How long has this been going on?" She said 20 years. And she said she went to 10 different clinics, spent over $50,000 on testing, and nothing's working. and I recommended the Power Fuel, and she tried it. And so 3 days later, Friday, so I said, start tomorrow, since it's already too late in the day today. Start tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Do first scoop, do second at noon. She said, okay. Friday, she comes back and she comes find me. She starts crying. She gives me a big hug. She said, it's gone. I'm like, what's gone? She said, the pain, everything. In 3 days, 100% better, folks. 20 years, 3 days with this formula. Okay. In fact, she wrote a testimonial on it. She calls this a miracle in a jar. So we've seen some incredible things through the years. That's definitely one of my top things that I've seen with this formula. And it didn't even have everything else we have in it now. We've added other things to it. That was the original, and it's still fantastic. Okay. That branched chain aminos, mentioned it a second ago. So it's in a very precise ratio, 4-to-1, which is what you want. It's these aminos right here, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. These are considered branched chain. Okay. You cannot obtain them through your diet. So they're essential. That's why we need that. It helps with protein synthesis and helps with the muscle tissue recover. Several studies on this as well. We added glutamine as well, large amount, most abundant amino acid in your body. Okay, that also helps with muscle tissue and muscle recovery. Right. So there's the formula in a nutshell. Okay, so there's the glutamine, 4,000 milligrams or 4 grams. That's a lot. There's your branch chain. Okay, so post-workout muscle tissue and repair. Okay, and then finally, folks, super creatine. Okay, the difference between this and regular creatine is we're using a patented trademark form called Creatine Magna Power. It's by Albion. This does not convert to creatinine. Creatinine is where you get all the negative association with creatine, the bloatiness, the GI upset. You do not get that with this, folks. Also, there's no loading dose necessary. And there's 2 published medical studies on this. Published medical studies on creatine. This is the only one we've ever seen for athletes. We also added beetroot for circulation and nitric oxide. So you get a greater pump. We added active alpha-lipoic acid, vanadium, citrulline, and there's the glutamine all in one. And this tastes amazing. Raspberry kiwi flavor. So just doing 1 scoop a day, folks. It's incredible, right? So regular creatine is not like this. This is completely different. And again, there is such symbols that you want to look for, right? Albion makes this as well. This is another good one for the heart and for the liver as well. Okay. So let's go back to where we were. So hopefully this makes sense. So no matter what level you are, if you want to take a supplement, it's just going to jumpstart. Okay. So any questions? We're wrapping up right now. Any questions in the audience or at home, Phil? I'll let you flex, girl. Come up here, start posing. I'm not this right moment. No, I have though. It is amazing. Any questions, Phil? Anybody have any questions? Does that make sense? Okay. So my time is up, unfortunately, but we have another great speaker coming up, Dr. Gideon Orbach, as well as Joe Messino. The benefits of a chiropractic patient, the top 3 formulas for restoring your joints, ligaments, and tendons. Okay, so I'll be in the back if you want to ask me anything privately. But thank you so much, folks. Have a great rest.